Okay, let me take a minute and welcome Hadley to another Commonwealth. By the way, no offense to Governor Bashir, the greatest Commonwealth in the nation. And Hadley, let me just say to you, you are powerful. You are purposeful. And your voice has been found, and people are listening, and you are going to help bring us real change in this country. Thank you. We are grateful you are here, and I know Hadley's spending the week in Pennsylvania, which is just awesome. I invite everybody to spend a week. Let me just say how awesome it is to be with my Congresswoman Madeleine Dean. And she is joined here today, and it's important for you to know, by former Congressman Greenwood, who is with us. And the reason I want to highlight Congressman Greenwood is that he not only served Bucks County so well in the U.S. House of Representatives, Congressman Greenwood is a Republican. Madeleine Dean is a Democrat. There is a bipartisan force that is standing up for women's reproductive rights in this Congress. It's important. And we're excited to have a whole lot of folks with us here today. Dr. Kay Walz is with us today. Doctor, I didn't catch every episode, but I do not remember that episode when you invited politicians like Donald Trump and J.D. Vance into the room with you with a patient where you were talking about her reproductive rights. I don't think I missed that episode, right? Because Kate knows politicians do not belong in the labor and delivery room. Thank you for being with us. And my old buddy, people have accused us actually of being twin brothers. I don't know if you saw Jack Schlossberg. I know we look alike. My hair is a little better than his. We had a lot of fun at the DNC together, though I would point out, Jack's gross, and I'll tell you why he's gross. He puts mayonnaise on everything, which I think is just disgusting. But nevertheless, I'm thrilled Jack is here and highlighting the importance of this issue to so many people who follow him, and continuing to make sure that the vast majority of members of his family, with the exception of just one, believe in real courage. And real courage is standing up and protecting people's rights and freedoms every day. Jack, thanks for being here. Listen, I just want to spend a few minutes talking about my old friend Kamala Harris and the issue of freedom, which is on the ballot in this election. I've been blessed to know Kamala Harris for nearly 20 years. She was a young prosecutor. I was a young state representative when we started to get to know one another. And she is tough as nails. Tough as nails. She is someone who has always stood up and fought for the people. Always been on the side of trying to expand rights, expand freedoms, and make sure that those who often are in the shadows of our society are looked after. They are seen and they are heard. We've both been prosecutors and public servants together. And as Joe Biden said, the most important decision he ever made was selecting Kamala Harris to serve as his vice president. She's tough as nails. She's battle tested. She's ready to go, and she's going to make it great. Madam President. A clear contrast in the race between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. Actually, ironically, I think the only thing they may agree on is that as Pennsylvania goes, so goes the nation, and we will decide who the next president is. She couldn't have a clear contrast on a whole host of issues. But where I think there is the most clear contrast is on the issue of freedom. Let's examine the records. When Donald Trump was in charge, we know he brought a whole lot more chaos to this country and a whole lot less freedom. Think about it. He packed the Supreme Court And the Supreme Court went ahead and ripped away the fundamental freedom from millions of women across this country to simply be able to make the basic decisions over their own bodies. He not only ripped away that fundamental freedom, he went out and bragged about it. Hell, he was bragging about it this morning, I think on whatever his fake Twitter is called. By the way, just before he dumped all over Taylor Swift. Let me be very clear about that. Attacking Taylor Swift, especially in her home state of Pennsylvania, is not a smart move. The other dumb move is ripping away freedom from millions of women because, let me tell you something, women are going to vote in this election. A whole lot of allies, myself included, in standing up for their basic reproductive rights. I remember that day Donald Trump was successful at ripping away the freedom of women across this country when his court overturned Roe. The next day, a whole bunch of us gathered right in front of the Constitution Center. And we stood up and we said we were going to mobilize not just to vote, but we were going to mobilize to reverse the fact that people like my daughter were born into a world where they had more rights than they had that day and still today. When we gathered that day, we were down, but we weren't out. And we were fired up. We were ready to go to fight for our freedoms. We understood that that was not just going to manifest itself in one election. That we knew we had to keep doing the work election after election, day after day, to restore those freedoms and protect those rights. I want you to know I heard those voices loud and clear. That's why I have been a governor who has always stood on the side of freedom and protected a woman's right to choose here in the Commonwealth. I want you to know it's not only been protecting abortion access, and I'm going to say that word, abortion access, here in the Commonwealth. It's making sure you can now buy birth control over the counter in pharmacies across Pennsylvania without a prescription. We ended the state contract that existed for decades with real alternatives, which tried to take real reproductive freedom away from women in this Commonwealth. We tried to make sure that Medicaid and public dollars were paying to make sure women had access to all reproductive health care in the Commonwealth. Every step of the way, we have made clear to our opponents in the legislature, do not send me those bills to undermine freedom in Pennsylvania, because they will be met with a swift veto from my office. The states have been on the front lines of this. And you live in a state where reproductive rights and freedoms are protected. Or for those of you from the western part of our state, from Pittsburgh, where I know Hadley is going to be in a couple days, we have seen a dramatic increase. Thousands of women coming from West Virginia and Ohio, where they do not have the same level of reproductive freedom in those states, coming here to get basic health care. Coming here to have an abortion if they so choose. I've made clear our doors are open in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania from women across all of these United States. But we are seeing firsthand in Pennsylvania, because of our neighboring states, the effect of these Trump abortion bans. And I want you to know there is only so much we can do here if Donald Trump is given the keys to the White House. Because, make no mistake, Donald Trump and his sidekick, J.D. Vance, they will sign a national abortion ban. They will make it impossible for women to make decisions over their own bodies. And it's going to make it harder for us in Pennsylvania to be able to stop that. The good news is, you're not powerless. because in 51 days, you have the opportunity to vote for a candidate in Kamala Harris who wants to clarify roles in this election and defend the as we protect our fundamental freedoms. You could not have a clear contrast in this race, and the danger is clear, but the opportunity is real. Listen, it should be up to you to decide when you want to start a family or whether you want to grow your family. It should be up to Donald Trump. It should be up to you if you decide that IVF is right for you to be able to start your family, not Donald Trump or some conservative court who wants to take away that fundamental freedom from you. It should be up to you to decide what medicines you want to take. It should not be up to Donald Trump. These are the fundamental issues of freedom that are on the ballot. And while Kamala Harris and my friend Tim Walz's names are on the ballot, the truth is, it is your rights and your freedoms and your power that is on the line in this election in 51 days. And so I want to end not by talking about our friend Kamala Harris, but I want to end by talking about all of you and your power in this election, particularly your power as a fellow Pennsylvanian. You know, 248 years ago, in a building right across the street, our founding fathers signed our Constitution. After declaring our independence from a king, they signed that document to determine our future, one that was based on the power in the people's hands, and one where we would be empowered to chart a course based on self-determination. After one of my predecessors, Ben Franklin, and it sounds weird to say that, but he really was. After one of my predecessors, Ben Franklin, signed that Constitution, he walked out on those cobblestone streets. Y'all should go check it out. Particularly kids should go check it out afterwards. And he was met by a fellow Philadelphian who looked at him and said, "Mr. Franklin, what do we have here? A monarchy or a republic?" Franklin looked at her and he said, "We have a republic if you can keep it." For the last 248 years, we've been doing the hard work necessary to not just keep it, but to write this American story, one that has expanded freedom and opportunity for all people, no matter what you look like, where you come from, who you love, or who you pray to. This story that we've written, in every chapter of our American story, we've gotten better, we've gotten stronger, we've gotten more just, and we've gotten more free. But in each chapter, the American people have been tested. We've wondered sometimes whether the 2 steps forward we took and then the 1 step back would result in us losing a right, losing a freedom. Well, folks, right now we're in the middle of one of those chapters, where Donald Trump and his packed Supreme Court has knocked us back a little bit. But the power in your hands is the same power that our ancestors and their ancestors and theirs before have had to write this story, because the truth is, it hasn't been people with big titles next to their names that have determined the future of our nation. It's been ordinary Americans rising up, demanding more, seeking justice, and realizing their power. That has what made us be stronger and more free every step of the way. And so I say to you, my fellow Americans, my fellow Pennsylvanians, we have this unique relationship with freedom and democracy. We understand our power and we understand the responsibility that comes with that power. And so I ask of all of you, not just to show up in 51 days and vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. I ask you over these next 51 days to dedicate yourself to the work that we are called to do, the work